Hey everyone, so I've got a double feature for you today. They released two new heroes into the game, and as a content creator, I got some trial heroes to show you. So the first one is Muriel, which is the legendary, and then there's an epic called Punk. I do want to touch on one thing, though, that they introduced in this patch, which is a pity system on limited summons. So basically, if you pull two legendary heroes and you don't pull the new legendary that they're releasing into the game, the next one's guaranteed. Now, this is obviously really expensive, right? Stardust is probably the worst value in the game when it comes to offers. I don't know where they get this from, but it's really bad. Now, thankfully, you can farm this up and eventually have enough to pull. But, yeah, I would never recommend buying Stardust or anything like that. You get it from Void Tower, and you also get it from Guild Boss every day whenever you're doing your Guild Boss. So, if this is a new thing now, where it's going to be on every summon, I know it's going to be a long haul, but I highly recommend saving up 15,000 Stardust and just waiting until you can guarantee pull 3 heroes so you can get the guaranteed legendary. Because the reason I say this is ironically the best chance that you have to get the brand new hero that they're releasing instead of hoping to pull it from advanced summons. With how many legendaries that they introduce into the game, having a 33% chance of pulling said hero is your best bet. And if they have other heroes in the pool that are pretty good, like Afroni, I always pronounce this hero's name wrong. Like, this is an amazing hero, one of the most broken heroes in the game. And having the option to pull Muriel, like if I had 15,000 Stardust, this would be amazing, right? But anyway, I digress. So let's take a look at these two heroes, okay? Like I said, it's Muriel and Punk. Now, I actually think that these heroes are just PvE heroes. I think most of them, both of them, I think, are going to thrive in guild versus environment, which for me isn't saying much. I really don't think that game mode is fun, and on top of that, it's not the rewards and the effort, similar to what I was talking about with Faction Wars, is not worth the effort just for 80 pages of a legendary book. So anyway, I do think that's where they'll be best, but let's talk about the two heroes, and then I'll give you my thoughts on where I think they're good or not. Okay, so Muriel has this trait called Power Raid, and it's an aura, and it says when a team member with 4 or more positive effects attacks, immediately launches a bonus attack up to 1 time per hero per round. So when I first read this, I wasn't sure if it was Muriel who would get the bonus attack or if it was the hero that has 4 positive effects, and it is the hero. So that makes this trait much better. Anytime that a team member has 4 or more positive effects, attacks, if they have 4 or more, they will do a bonus attack. And that pairs up with some heroes pretty nicely, so we'll get into that. And then if she's ascended, which, like most things nowadays, she needs an ascended 5 to unlock this. It's just 3 or more. So that is a pretty big boost, considering her own kit supports this. It's a very nice ascension, but just with where she's useful right now in the game, I do not think that you should worry about using ascension pots to get there. So interesting aura. She does have a basic that says deals 120% damage to an enemy and removes 1 negative effect on a team member. Not a bad basic. It's the same exact thing as Yolanda. So it's a good basic, not bad. Now, she does have this really cool special, which is, similar to a passive. You don't activate it. It just activates on its own. It says at the end of the turn, if a team member doesn't have 3 positive effects, applies random stats up to all team members for 2 rounds until all team members have 3 or more positive effects. This is up to 1 time every 3 rounds, and it can be booked down to 2. So this is a really good special. This is kind of her bread and butter. And you'll see this in action. But at the end of her turn, right, so it's not at the end of the round, if she goes first and nobody on your team has positive effects on themselves, she will put 3 of them on every single person. And that lasts for 2 rounds. That is really cool. And then this only activates every 3 rounds. So if you book it down, those random stats up will always be live. So that's really cool. And what those random stats up are attack up, crit rate up, crit damage up, and speed up. So obviously the one that you're most likely not wanting to get is the crit rate up, because you usually build heroes with 100% crit rate, or if they're support heroes, you just don't care about this. But all the 4 other ones are actually really cool. I will say that the speed up can be a negative sometimes as well if you have someone's speed tuned, but I think that really only applies usually on guild boss and maybe some dungeon runs, but I'm sure there's ways to mitigate this. But this is a really cool special / passive for sure. And then her ultimate ability deals 150% damage to all enemies and then applies attack down 2 to the primary target. So the way this works, and I'm pretty sure it works the way that I'm thinking, we'll test it in Void Tower, that it deals 150% damage to everybody, but then just deals attack down 2 to the primary target. So whoever you're clicking on. But we'll test that and see if it's true. And then it says it also applies this skeletal force to all team members. So this is what skeletal force does. It says damage is increased by 5% for each positive effect on the hero. So this is a really good support ability. Not only is it putting attack down 2 on people, but then it also grants your team members an additional increase in damage. And what's cool about this is her own special or passive like instantly supports this. So with her ultimate ability, she's going to be giving people an additional 15% automatically at the start of, well, at the end of her turn, whenever she gives everyone 3 bonus positive effects. So really cool kit, actually. It's not bad. Like, it's a very good character. But at the same time, I don't think she really fits in anywhere other than guild versus environment. Like, she's good for dungeons, for sure. Being a green hero, she's probably good in Queen of Tides, but she doesn't replace any of, like, the true OP heroes there, like Shane or Florence, to make those dungeon runs really fast and consistent. If you don't have Shane or Florence, maybe she can slot in. But, yeah, that's kind of the problem with her is she's a good hero. She just doesn't change anything currently in the game. So that is Muriel's kit. With the glyphs, she does get a lot of speed. So that's kind of cool because you do want her to go first in your rotation to allow people to get those positive effects up. She does have a speed mastery, which is also a nice benefit to her, and then she has auras as well. So everything for Muriel, she has going for her. So very nice things there. So the gear I have her in is just really fast speed. I do only have her level 60. You know, if I put her up to level 70, she would get 5 more speed. But this is good enough for what I'm planning on showing you. My plan is to pair her with Ashlyn because Ashlyn wants to get to her magic sparks as fast as possible. And with Muriel, she'll give her 3 random stats up, and then Ashlyn gives herself a 4th one on her On her ultimate ability, she gives herself defense up 2. But if I also pair her with like a Flarence or something like that, Ashlyn can do 2 bonus attacks on top of her original basic. I'll show all of this in Void Tower to basically have her light ultimate at full magic sparks on turn 2, which is pretty cool. So that's Muriel. As far as Punk goes, again, Punk, I think, is another GVE hero. But let's talk about his trait real quick. He says, when an enemy receives defense up, damage reduction, or max health up effects, immediately removes 1 positive effect of the same type on each enemy. And that's a 2-round cooldown, and if he's ascended, it goes down to 1 round, so he'll be doing it every turn. It's an interesting trait. I would say it's pretty specific. There aren't a whole lot of heroes, I think, that do this, but there are some that are relevant in the meta from PvP perspective. Like Hakron puts stuff like this up. Shark Soul Andre puts stuff like that up. Ashlyn puts up defense up. So there are people out there that do that. From a damage reduction perspective, the more relevant meta heroes have this like on a passive. It's not a buff. So Punk won't really remove that. But getting into the rest of his kit here, he has a basic ability that deals 70% damage to one enemy and then the same amount of damage to another random hero. And then it also has a 60% chance to apply frozen. So that's a pretty high percentage. It'd be nice if it were a little higher, but the fact that you can put frozen on up to 2 targets is really cool for guild versus environment perspectives. Activating, that Kiss of Death talent, which is one of the first talents you get by beating 10 ancient tiles. So that's pretty cool. He has this special ability that says reduces the cooldowns of all team members' area damage abilities by 1 turn. This is a really cool effect, and it's the only one in the game that does this, specifically reducing area damage abilities. So pretty cool. And then his ultimate ability, he deals 105% damage to all enemies and then applies this dark spread to all team members for 2 turns. And what this does is it increases the damage of your AoE abilities by 25%. And then if he has his masteries unlocked, this Dark Spread 2 is applied, which increases this to 35%. So a pretty cool support hero, and why I think he's pretty good in guild versus environment. So the way I have him geared is in stun. He has that AoE ability, which will go down to 4 turns. And I'm wondering if this Night Cloak actually reduces it as well. Let's actually get his abilities up here, and then we can test that in Void Tower as well. And then I'll show you his glyphs. His glyphs, he actually gets a decent amount of speed as well. And I'm sorry that I don't have this done for you guys already. I had Muriel done, but I missed this real quick, so sorry about that. But yeah, from his glyph perspective, which I'll show here, he also gets 31 speed, which is nice. So really cool there. And then he also gets a speed mastery on his physique, as well as auras, just like Muriel. So a nice little support hero here. Currently, I don't know where he fits into, dungeon teams or anything like that. But like I said, there's his glyphs, and there's the speed mastery, and then the auras as well. So, but I do think he's a nice support hero for GVE. Okay, so let's just show Muriel in Void Tower right now. So what I kind of have planned for her is to utilize Muriel with Ashlyn, like I said, to get those magic sparks up. And I actually changed my Ashlyn's build just to show you this. So my Ashlyn has 41,000 HP, right? So her actual damage and crit rate like isn't applied, like it's not optimized. But you're gonna see how much white damage her Magic Spark ultimate does on light mode. And the nice thing with Muriel is because she gets bonus attacks when she has 4 or more positive effects up. In pairing this with Flarence, Ashlyn's going to get a bunch of bonus attacks and be able to do her ultimate as early as turn 2. So we're going to bring in Valeria as well, and then we'll show you this in action. Okay, so Muriel goes first. As you'll see here, nobody has positive effects on themselves, right? So we will use her ultimate ability, which will put attack down on the primary target. This is also a good test for us to see if attack down applies to everyone or just the person that I click on. And then she'll give that skeletal force buff, which will make Ashlyn and Val hit even harder, okay? So you'll see here that she'll do her ultimate, put attack down 2, and then her passive is going to activate and then give those random stats up 3 buffs to our team members. Okay, so we're clicking on this front guy. Let's see if attack down 2 applies to everybody. Okay, just the primary target, but here you see that she puts 3 buffs on everyone. It's nuts. It's really cool. So then Flarence is going to go, and then she puts the shield up on Ashlyn. So you'll see here, Muriel's passive is going to activate, or her trait, right? Where if a character has 4 or more positive effects, it will launch a bonus attack. So Flarence also has this buff up on my team members where they'll launch a bonus attack with their basic. So you'll see Ashlyn do 3 attacks with her basic. So here's the first one, here's the second one, and then here's the third one, right? So really cool, really cool. Yeah. So something was kind of off there where she was attacking before. It's some kind of bug or glitch. But here, I don't know if we can stun the Jabez. Yeah. So here, we're looping right back around to our Ashlyn to do really big damage with her ultimate ability. So as soon as she gets her turn here, she's going to do her basic, and then she'll be at full magic sparks, and then I'll be able to turn into our light mode. Okay, so switched, right? Go into our light mode, and then we're going to do really big damage, not with the ultimate itself, but you'll see the white damage that we showed in the Ashlyn video do a lot of damage to this wave. So 24,000. It's pretty cool. So yeah, and then Valeria just comes in and cleans up. Ooh, just missed. So anyway, here our Ashlyn is just gonna clean up. And stage done. So there you have it. Pretty cool. You know, that's the benefit that I see for her in Guild versus Environment. You know, pairing up with Ashlyn, giving her those bonus attacks to be able to loop back around to have those full magic sparks. So pretty neat stuff. In regards to Punk, you know, I think Punk gives additional damage, you know, to our AoE attackers, and we'll see if we can show this here. So we'll use Halia, and then Baron and Punk. All right, so Holly is going to go. We're going to use Baron here, and we're going to just clear this wave. We're going to do the same thing here. And then Punk is going to come in and activate that dark spread, so we will be able to just nuke the bejesus out of this wave. So we're going to jump into Punk. Punk's going to activate his ultimate, apply dark spread, hopefully, stun one of these people. Okay, so we got a stun on Fianna. And then here, Baron, even though she already smacks hard, she's going to smack even harder. Yeah, so, almost killed everybody with just that first attack, but then cleaned up the rest. And then Punk comes in and resets the cooldowns by 1 turn, and there you go. So Punk is, definitely more situational. I think he's just one of those random heroes that you throw in there to try and get as much damage on a short amount of time as possible in guild versus environment. I obviously think that Muriel has a lot more potential than Punk. But both of them are pretty cool. I wouldn't say that they're game changers or anything like that, so I wouldn't go out of my way to try and, summon Muriel, in my opinion. Although, if you don't have Shane or Flarence, she might be a nice support character to run in dungeons, especially for Queen of Tides or something like that. Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm thinking on these two heroes. This is just a basic overview. I'll have to do some more testing and see where they fit in, specifically in the game. But just, at first glance, I wouldn't say that they change my account, for sure. Any kind of endgame player's account. She's probably a decent hero for mid-game players. And then Punk, I think, is replaceable in a lot of things. I don't think he's like a game changer for anything really. He's, in my opinion, probably just a little too slow. He might need to be booked out in order to take advantage of like some kind of cleave setup in RTA or Arena, but I think there's plenty of ways to build good, strong teams without a hero like Punk. So that's what I got for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you on the next one. See ya.